a garden. This represents the love of a relationship and all the potential of a relationship. And this, of course, represents the offenses that are going to come into your relationship. Now, you don't have to be married to get a whole lot out of what I'm saying right now. This will apply to anybody in your life who is important to you and show you exactly what the enemy will try to do. Like, for instance, here's how offenses can come. Because the question isn't, are offenses going to come into your relationship? That's not the question. They're gonna come. They're gonna come. The question is, what are you gonna do with them? That's what determines whether or not you keep a strong relationship with God, with others, with yourself. Sometimes it's not what they say, it's what they don't do. It's an unmet expectation. That is the breeding ground of offenses in relationships. Unmet expectations. And let me tell you the breeding ground of unmet expectations, unexpressed expectations. So you gotta learn how to talk to people. Otherwise, like, let's say growing up in Stephanie's house, birthdays were a big deal. But maybe at Dan's house, they didn't make a big deal about birthdays. Because, hey, what did you do? You didn't do anything on your birthday. You were just born. So maybe on birthdays at Dan's house, nobody celebrates the fact that you just came out into the world like it was some great achievement. But Stephanie wakes up and her mom used to make her pancakes on her birthday, and her dad had a special song that he would sing. I don't know, I'm making this stuff up. I never met Stephanie and Dan before. I was making a scenario. Now Dan is trying to fall asleep on Saturday night, and again, I'm just making this up, but she handed you this offense. She wasn't trying to offend you. She was just shopping. It was just her thing. But Dan is working, and doesn't she see how hard I'm working? And how does she expect us to get ahead financially? And like the last thing she needs is another pair of shoes. And the enemy's like, yeah, that's good, Dan. That's good. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't respect you. She doesn't appreciate all that you're doing to provide for her. She's working against you. It's just a little offense. Stephanie is still stuck on her birthday. It was 4 months ago. She's still mad about the pancakes. Come here, Stephanie. And she's over here and she's still nursing that thing about the birthday. And see, it's every time she thinks about it, it gets a little deeper. She'll drive it down in there with every thought and reliving it and thinking about what he said and what she did and what they didn't say and didn't pay attention to me and don't appreciate me, and just drives it down deeper. And so what actually was part of building the foundation of the relationship, now it's offense, and it happens a million different ways. And the enemy will give you all kinds of opportunities. And you don't realize what's happening because it's just one little conversation after another, you know? It's just dressing on Thanksgiving. It ain't a big thing. It's just me trying to tell Holly how to drive and her saying, well, then why don't you drive if you're such a good driver? And offense by offense, if we don't learn what to do about this, the enemy would love just one conversation after another. You don't make a decision to walk away from a relationship that you love. You don't see them becoming your enemy in Matthew 5:25. It's just one. And now, what started as just a small offense, now what God joined together is separated because of offense. And now the crazy thing is, Jesus said, if you let it get to this point, if you live your relational life on the basis of, well, I'm not apologizing first, I apologized first last time. If you don't learn how to deal with these things, you find yourself in prison. It's not them that you imprison. It's you. You built offense. The enemy's agenda is destruction. His strategy is division, and his tactic is offense. Thankfully, God has given us another way to deal with offense. If only we could find an example of somebody who had every right to be offended, of somebody who had every right to hold it against us, of somebody who had every right to stand at a distance, but opened his arms and said, this is the way of relationship. And the Lord gave me a real specific word for somebody who needs reconciliation in your relationship. It's very simple what they have to do. If they're gonna stay like they started, if we're gonna get back to where we were, we're gonna have to learn, watch this, this is very profound, it's deep, you're gonna miss it. This is what you're gonna have to learn. You gotta learn to drop it. You gotta learn to drop it. And I don't mean suppress it. I don't mean you don't deal with things after they happen. But after you've had the conversation, Dan, I like pancakes on my birthday, then drop it. Touch somebody, say drop it. I mean the moment the offense, because you can't always control what's handed to you, but you can control what you do with it. So what are you gonna do with the offense? Come on, Dan, you can't choose anybody else's actions. The enemy wants you to drive it down deep. You know, he wants you to think about it and miss all the reasons that the person has worked their way into your life and miss all the things they've done for you. And he wants to drive it, but God says, drop it. I believe that there are some things that we need to drop tonight. In fact, Jesus said, this is so important, that if you are in church at the altar offering a gift and a sacrifice, but the primary relationships in your life are dysfunctional and need reconciliation, you can't even properly connect with God unless you drop it. Do it again, Dan. Drop it. I'm telling you, being married, being in a close relationship is about not how quickly you can get offended, but how quickly you can get over it.